I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. I want to talk about the baseball, sports stuff. Let's start with First Take.
Okay.
This is done something for your career I don't think anyone expected, including yourself, where you're trending on Twitter every week.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, this is the blessing of all time. Let's be honest. I mean, I got a phone call there in late January of last year from Stephen A. to break down the Hall of Fame vote for Bonds and Clemens. I go in there, I do 2 segments, and 2 days later, they say, how about doing it full time? And I was at the Super Bowl with Eric Spitz, Steve Cohen, Eddie Erickson, Torrey, and everything else, and I'm signing contracts. I mean, and I faxed it into him from L.A. So it's very odd that I've had this little, as you said, breakthrough renaissance. He lets me do anything I want. I know my role there. In a lot of ways, my role there is to make sure that, I provide him a little jolt. And I know how it is. You know how it is. You do a lot of these interviews. Sometimes it's good when a guest or a partner you have can take a little pressure off you and allow you to go out there and sort of carry it. I used to learn that with Letterman because the producers used to tell me all the time, Chris, one of the reasons why he likes to be on, because he knows for 9 minutes he doesn't have to do anything. He can he can let you do your thing. And so I kind of take that approach for Stephen A. I can sort of help relieve. That's hard to do that 10 hours a week. Bounce around sport to sport. Be there every morning at 10. Conference calls the day before. 7:30 a.m. meeting. Traveling in the city with the traffic. He doesn't live in the city. Shirt and tie on and ready to go for 2 hours. Get everybody involved. All this stuff. It's not that easy. So I, on the Wednesday there, Jimmy, give him a little breather where I can scream for 10 minutes. And I look at that as my role. Like I went in there today. They asked me yesterday to go in today because of the Astros Yankees. So I went in there today and I was only on for 10, 12 minutes, but I knew what I had to do. My job today was pick Houston, give you a solid reason, and then let him scream about the Yankees. They got to win. It's been since 2009. Judge's got to do, but he needs a foil in there to pick the other team. I mean, they're not, Kendrick Perkins is not going to break down the Astros and the Yankees. I can do that. So that is, and I look at that a lot of times as my role with him to make sure he doesn't need it, but I give him a little blow and he knows that if he takes 4 or 5 minutes off, I'll handle the show properly. Right. But a huge renaissance to the career. No question about it.
Were you surprised at how many people weren't familiar with you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, there have been some bumps along the way. I've written about this. It's been a thing with some fans where the ex-athletes who come on don't seem sometimes. I feel like it's gotten a little better.
Yeah, it's gotten better.
But they've been a little nasty along the way, I've felt like.
J.J. Redick put me in a tough spot. I got pounded for that. I was in Ireland for that point, and my wife said, I told you not to do this stupid thing. And I'm getting destroyed on Twitter on my anniversary in Dublin on May 6th. So that was a problem. We got over that okay. And then, of course, the Ryan Clark got mad at me the one day and everything else. For the most part, again, it's Keyshawn, it's Dominic Foxworth, it's Kendrick Perkins, it's Jay Williams, it's Reddick. It's it's sometimes it's Booger McFarlane. Marcus Spears. While as a result, you got a lot of young athletes in there who not are going to identify with the older 55-year-old sports fan. I can do that, and I think that's a big plus for me. I filled a little void for them that they didn't have before they didn't really have a guy who can fill those, nooks and crannies with, Lombardi or with, Saban or with Bear Bryant. Now they got that guy. That's Bob
Cousy.
Cousy's a perfect example. Jerry West. There's my,
But did you ever feel disrespected? But do you feel like it was nasty and personal, or you thought maybe they didn't know your act and they didn't know your career?
None of these guys know my act. Do you think that, let's be fair, do you think J.J. Redick is bouncing around Duke's campus or the Clippers or Roanoke, Virginia, putting on Mike and the Mad Dog?
No.
Do you think that I love Marcus Spears, but he's from Louisiana. He went to LSU. He played for you think he knows who Mike and the Mad Dog? He doesn't. He wouldn't know us out of a lineup. Right. So a lot of these guys had no idea, heard the name, but they had no idea, how I did the show, what my philosophy is, what my path is. So it took them a little while to get used to it.
Right.
I think for the most part, they're used to it now. After, 8-9 months?
The Ryan Clark one I thought was a little ridiculous because he didn't want you yelling, and your whole career all you've done is yell. So that was like
I got a little defensive. I got a little defensive with that spot too. People don't realize it when you are on that TV for 2 hours, and especially on that kind of show where there is some combativeness occasionally. The idea is debate, so you're going to have to take two different arguments. That it can get a little over the edge, personal. And if you make that mistake where you get a little sensitive, you get a little critical, and you yell at somebody, it can have a very bad radio. You can do that. Mike and I could fight all day. It was almost part of the show.
Right.
You can't do that on TV sometimes.
Right.
And a couple of times that I've been on there, I've learned I got myself in trouble by almost not picking a fight, but getting involved in something that kind of was a little too edgy. And I think that's the case with Ryan Clark. So I try to make sure that we keep it fun as much as anything else.
Now, the narrative with you, though, from the ex-athlete and some of the viewers is obviously you have an affection for all the old-time stuff.
Right.
You want it to be 1964.
Yep.
And you want to, do you feel like you should give today's player, in some instances, a little bit more credit?
Yeah, you can make that argument. Yep, because I do the NBA lists. See, they like to have me do lists. And so when I do lists, I mean, obviously I got to do it past pre-1995. I'll give you a perfect example. When we had the Gronkowski-Brady tight end combination thing, I put Ron Kramer in there with Bart Starr. They said, "It's really
ridiculous."
Now, remember, Dave Robinson, who I know pretty well, the Hall of Fame linebacker, he said, "Chris, let me tell you something right now." And I played against Ditka. I played against a lot of Charlie Sanders. He was an unbelievable tight end. He would have won 9 championships. But Lombardi traded him to Detroit because his wife had major health issues and he lived in Michigan. He went to Michigan. So, all right, people don't know that, but he's underrated is the point. So sometimes I've been in a situation where I have been a little too historically oriented, and Stephen A. did warn me about a month or so ago. Chris, listen, I have no problem with you citing things, but let's not go back to 1920. He did say that. So I have tried to make it a little easier and be a little bit more current since.
Well, the issue is that sports today are completely different than sports in 1960 or 1970. I mean, the whole everything has changed. So it's hard, I think, to compare.
Well, here's what I would say. Is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar one of the top 2 or 3 centers of all time?
Yes.
Okay. Did Jerry West play with and against Kareem?
Sure.
Okay. Did Jerry West play with and against Cousy?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
okay, but
if you look at it that way, it's not as bad as you think.
Well, no, but
he played against West. West played against Kareem, and you said Kareem's one of the great centers of all time.
No, but that's fine. I think the issue is more about you not giving anyone from today credit.
Fair.
I mean,
part of it's an act, Jimmy. Part of it.
I understand. I understand.
Move, if you want me to do a list, I'll give you LeBron, and I'll give you Kobe, and I'll give you Jordan, and nobody's gonna say anything. If I go out there and I throw in a couple Bob Cousy's and I throw in a couple Jerry Wests and I throw in a couple George Mikan and Bob Pettit, all of a sudden, holy God, look at that. And you get people getting all ticked off. Isn't that part of the deal?
Yes and no.
We already entertainment. We already entertainment business.
Yes, but my thing is, if someone brings up LeBron or Brady, you don't have to look to knock them or put holes in their legacy or careers. Those are 2 of the all-time greats. Leave them alone.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Right. And I usually do it. And both of them I usually do. I think your better example would be Curry. I think that would be that. I mean, everybody knows LeBron's top 3-4 players in the league. Everybody knows.
Okay, good.
And the same thing with Brady.
Right.
Go ahead.
2 last things on First Take.
You're flying. What else?
Two last things on First Take. We'll move on. Did you get in trouble or did you get your wrist slapped when you revealed your salary on Howard?
I'll probably get my wrist slapped again. Somebody from ESPN sent a text to my agent with 2 words: "Not helpful." I never said that. That will get me in trouble too. But what the hell? It's your show. Nobody listens, right? What the hell? Nobody watches.
Not helpful. All right.
No, I did say that. But I probably got. See, that's another thing. if you go on with Howard, isn't the idea to move you put you on for an hour and 15 minutes? You got to give him something. You know, I'm not going to go break down my sex life or anything like that. I got to give him something that's meaty, and that is meaty. He loves that stuff. That's why I did it. But it is accurate. That figure was accurate, by the way.